All right, so we've flirted with the appetizers. We've had a couple drinks. We've had the bread basket, and now we're here for the main course. America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Just absurd from top to bottom. So many choices.
So much talent.
Just about every position.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead
to the point where, and because it's the Cowboys too. I mean, you can almost, if you know football like we know football, you're of the history of the game, you can almost do this from memory, right? There's so many. I mean, we're making 22-man teams. They've got 15 Hall of Famers that play the majority of their career with the Cowboys. So you just, and then guys that aren't yet in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you just got so many choices. Yeah,
I would argue that you could build a second team that would compete with many of the all-time teams.
Yes.
All right. So we'll start with quarterback. To me, it's a slam dunk pick. It's Roger Staubach.
Yes. I don't think there's a discussion. There's a discussion.
Shout out Troy Aikman, 3 Super Bowls, great achievement. But Roger Staubach was the better quarterback, and he has 2 Super Bowls, so it's not like he's that far behind. So you agree?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, it's the better debate would be like, how big is the gap? Right. It's not, and I think that given the 3 Super Bowls, Troy has to be number 2, but so he's not in danger of not being the second, but I don't think it's a close discussion between, it's not 1 and 1A. It's 1 and it's 2.
Yeah. And I think Troy would agree as well. All right. So over to the skill position guys. So quite a group here. I went with 2 running backs.
Yep.
So number 1, Emmitt Smith, the all-time rushing leader, all kinds of accolades. And I do want to put a pin in this real quick. I'll come back to it when you get your turn. And then Tony Dorsett was my other running back who was just an incredible player for his era. So from 77 to 85, he had over 1,000 yards in every season except for one. That's when he played 9 games due to injury. So very consistent.
No. Was it 9 games due to injury, or was it 82 when there was a strike?
Oh, that's right. Yes, it was 82.
So it wasn't even his injury. It was the fact that no one had played more than 9 games.
That's right. So incredibly dominant and consistent player for a long time.
I believe he retired as number 2 all time in rushing.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah, that's right. And then for my pass catchers, I went with the 2 88s, Michael Irvin and Drew Pearson, who there was a 5-year gap between them, but a lot of the long stretch of incredible wide receiver play for these Cowboy fans. Very spoiled. And then my tight end, I went with Jason Witten, who is probably the most boring all-time great. So, I feel like the best route he ever run was like a 5-yard out, but he was always open. Nothing special athletically about him, it seemed like, but he was just always open.
Durability. That's, availability is an ability, and he was available for a very long time at a high level.
Exactly. All right. And I wanted to get CeeDee Lamb on here just for the 388s, but not enough room for him.
I've got exactly the same. I shout out Bob Hayes because we don't talk enough about him. He was, for those who don't know, he was an Olympic gold medal sprinter in 1964, but he was actually a football player as well. So when he was, so he wasn't someone who didn't play football. Like, after he inspired a whole era of, let's just get track stars out here and try to teach them how to play football. And that didn't work very well, but he was an amazing football player. And some fans credit him with necessitating and creating zone defense because he was so fast that no one could cover him. Wow. So I wanted to put him on here, but I ended up the same place you were, Irvin, Pearson, and Witten, with Bob Hayes as honorable mention.
Strong group, a strong wide receiver group, strong position group, obviously in general. All right. Offensive line. So for my tackles, I went with Tyron Smith as my left tackle, just a comically large human being. I always remember him wearing, he wears the knee braces, or he would wear the knee braces as elbow braces, just because he's just
so big. Yeah,
exactly. And then Rayfield Wright as my right tackle, so different era, 67 to 79. So very long-time Cowboy, very consistent player. And then my guards, I went with Larry Allen, who is cartoonishly strong. I think they said he would bench 700 pounds.
Some crazy like number like that, yeah.
And then Zach Martin, more recent guy who was, just as dominant seven-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, so 9-time Pro Bowl or All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, so slam dunk Hall of Famer as soon as he's eligible. And then Travis Frederick as my center. So again, a little more recent guy, didn't have the team success, but still a very dominant player in his era.
Yeah, he's Frederick. It's a sad story, but I'm not sure if it was injury or it was something odd. Like it wasn't a football type injury that kept him out. It was
a disease of some sort.
Yeah. But I went with the same four, but instead of Frederick, I went with Mark Stepnoski. Okay. So he was my fifth, but Smith, Rayfield Wright, Larry Allen, Zach Martin, honorable mention Eric Williams. A lot of Cowboy fans are going to say Eric Williams here, but I went with Tyron Smith ahead of Eric Williams.
Yeah. Throw Nate Newton in there as an
honorable mention. but yes and no. I mean, he was a nice player, but he's not in the same vicinity as Allen or Martin, and that's who he'd be compared to. So that's
no room for him, which is okay. Yeah, all right, before we jump over the defense, I want to get your take on Emmitt Smith. The popular insults get slung at him as, if Barry Sanders was behind that offensive line, it would be a different story. He'd be the one leading the league in rushing and the all-time leader. So what are your thoughts on Emmitt Smith?
Well, I mean, again, it's one of those, we talked a little earlier about Eli being a kind of a flashpoint. Yeah. For whatever reason, the Emmitt Smith fans and the Barry Sanders fan, if I post a Barry Sanders,
oil and water.
I can post a video about Emmitt Smith and get 50 comments about Barry Sanders. And I didn't even, it's not even mentioned. Not even mentioned, where we should just be appreciating the greatness of both of these players. Mm-hmm. They were great for different reasons, but they were still great. And for people who want to knock Emmitt, he had the greatest line ever assembled, all of that. I direct you to, I believe it's either the 91 or the 92 season where he held out, or maybe it was 93, where he held out he wanted a new contract. He held out. I think it was 93. He held out. The Cowboys are 0-2. And they rush for 100 yards combined in those two games without Emmitt. He comes back and they win 15 of their next 17 games. If it were that easy, then they could have put any stiff in there. The team fell apart when he wasn't there. And that should have answered any question you had. There was another instance, and again, I'm blanking on the year, but they needed to win a game the week 16 for playoff positioning. Emmitt in the second quarter separates his shoulder.
Yes.
And then goes on to touch the ball like 40-something times total for 230 yards on a separated shoulder, and he can't even get up off the ground. They're pulling him up because he's in so much pain. If you're a football fan and you're aware of both of these things and you still knock Emmitt, I'm not sure why. It's a Cowboys thing, I suppose. I mean, it's
definitely a Cowboys thing. It's the jealousy. It's the understandable bitterness of some Barry Sanders fans because of how bad his teams were for so long. In fact, his career got short. But I think you and I think one of the reasons we vibe is that we kind of operate under the same principle of you don't need to knock someone down to uplift someone else. Yes. You can appreciate both. You can appreciate the historical significance. You can say, Barry probably would have been better
maybe
he would have better numbers.
Maybe
not better than Emmitt. I don't mean better than Emmitt. I just mean his numbers and all that.
I think part of why we remember Barry so well is because of all his great escapes, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is true.
I mean, it's not just like when people talk about loving Barry, they don't generally talk about 10 All-Pros in 10 seasons.
Yeah.
They say put in the tape.
Exactly.
and watch him do his thing, right? So, his numbers are incredible, right? That he averaged 1,500 yards per season for 10 seasons. He was never not an All-Pro. But then Emmitt Smith is the all-time leader among running backs. He's the all-time leader in touchdowns. He's the all-time leader in scrimmage yards. He's the
and his tape is not too shabby either. Watch the highlights. It's not all the offensive line. There's plenty of tough runs, plenty of
exactly. And the offense was built around him, and everything worked off of him. And like I said, the Exhibit A is and I believe that was his MVP season too, when he missed the first 2 games. And it's just like you can't say that it was all the offensive line and be aware that the team fell apart in weeks 1 and 2 without him. I mean, you just
100%.
you're not being fair. You're not making a rational decision for saying that.
Absolutely. All right. Glad we agree.
Yes.
All right. So we'll jump over to the defense, and what a defense this is.
My goodness.
So you could go 3-4, 4-3, kind of interchangeable. But so for my down linemen, my guys with their hands in the dirt. So for my edges, I went with DeMarcus Ware. So more recent guy, Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler with the Cowboys, and Harvey Martin, who was a 4-time All-Pro, also Defensive Player of the Year in 1977, and co-MVP of the Super Bowl. And then for my interior guys, what a group. I mean, I think we talked about a Mount Rushmore position group with, them, the Rams, the Vikings, and of course the Cowboys. I went with Bob Lilly and Randy White, who did not overlap. So again, a great run of interior defensive line play from 1961 to 1988. So Cowboys, very spoiled.
Yeah, think about that. From 61 to 88, I believe that was something like 12 or 13 first-team All-Pros from their defensive tackle.
14, yeah. 7 and 2 for Bob Lee for first and second team, and then also 7 and 2 for Randy White.
14 in those 19 seasons or something. 14 first-team All-Pros. My goodness.
And throw another 4 second-team All-Pro, which, as we've discussed, I feel like is it's still great.
And I actually reached. I mean, I think we might have talked this before, but I reached out to Pro Football Reference again. I want to be able to pull just all pros because especially in a 32-team league, if you're an all-pro of any type, you've done something. And
we need to add it at the top. Yeah. Add it at the top.
Exactly.
They deserve it.
And we need to be talking about that more because especially with the devaluing of the Pro Bowl, we need to be able to easily talk more about all pros first and second team.
And then for my linebackers, so 3 linebackers, you kind of throw DeMarcus Ware in there as well. I went with Chuck Howley. And Leroy Jordan. And then kind of a surprising pick for me, maybe, but I went with Micah Parsons. Who kind of, to me, similar to Khalil Mack on the Raiders, where I needed to fit him in there because he wasn't there for that long, obviously, but his start to his career just incredibly dominant. He was there for 4 years, and he was a 3-time All-Pro, 2-time First-Team Defensive Rookie of the Year, 4-time Pro Bowler. He just had another First-Team All-Pro season in Green Bay, so he probably would have done it in Dallas too.
Yeah, probably would have done it in Dallas. Yeah,
I think he's the only active player that I have, at least on this defense.
Right. I'm close. Obviously Lilly and White, Ware and Martin, completely with you there. Shout out to Too Tall Jones. He deserves some love there. The Cowboys, I believe. The Cowboys have 3 players with 100 sacks or more for their franchise.
Yes.
And that's and Too Tall, I believe, is one of those with Harvey Martin and Randy White. So they're just a great tradition of getting after the quarterback with this franchise. Linebacker Chuck Howley, the first and probably the only Super Bowl MVP for a losing team. That's his claim to fame. So he was the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl V, a game that the Cowboys lost. Leroy Jordan. And then I went with Sean Lee as linebacker. I know, Micah, that's a great choice, but I wanted to go with an off-ball linebacker, and Sean Lee is their franchise leader among linebackers for tackles. Strangely, their franchise leader for tackles. We haven't mentioned him yet, but we're about to.
All right, we'll get there. All right. Okay, for my defensive backs, I went with Deion Sanders as my CB1 and Mel Renfro, CB2. And then Cornell Green, I think, is my honorable mention for that position. He's right in there. Deion, I mean, I think for me, at least, this is his 3rd team. I don't think he made your Niners team, but he made my Niners team, made my Falcons team.
Yes.
And he made my Cowboys team.
No, I couldn't put him on the Niners on one season, but he's on the Falcons and he's on the Cowboys.
Yeah. And then for my safeties, I went with Cliff Harris and Darren Woodson. So I think Darren Woodson is the franchise tackles leader.
Yes.
I think he is a underrated player, definitely overshadowed because he played in that era with Ed Reed. He kind of overlapped, I believe, with Troy Polamalu, Brian Dawkins. So he definitely doesn't get the love that I think some of these other guys get when you talk about all-time greats.
Agreed. And he's right on the line to be a Hall of Famer. He's not in yet. I think that he has a case, and especially given all the winning that the Cowboys did while he was there. So hopefully he'll get in at some point.
Okay. So who are your defensive backs?
Woodson, Harris, Sanders, Renfro.
Okay. 4 for 4.
So 4 for 4. Right. Shout out to Everson Walls and Charlie Waters as well as honorable mentions. One as a corner, one as a safety.
So many choices. I mean, I think there's clear number ones, I think, at most positions, but I think after that, it's like, especially the defensive line, you could have made a case for DeMarcus Lawrence. He said Too Tall Jones, maybe to try to fit him in there. You know, if you change your alignment a little bit, but I think the number ones are pretty clear. And then same for head coach Tom Landry, slam dunk pick. You know what? I was shocked to see that Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy have better win percentages than Jimmy Johnson as a Cowboys head coach. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? It speaks to the standard that has been set, right? Because obviously it was a bad deal. Jerry buys the team. He runs Landry out of town. Jimmy has all that success. Then he runs Jimmy out of town.
Yeah.
But Landry built a program. You know, he was their first coach. He was the coach through all of the close calls that they had to all the winning they did in the 1970s. He's the guy.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a debate or anything. I was just like, okay, it's Tom Landry, but who's number 2? I mean, let me see. And then, of course, I look and I'm like, oh, wow. I guess Jimmy Johnson had that 2-15 season.
There it is.
That's 14 wins or whatever.
If you pull that out, I'm sure it's much. I mean, obviously, it's much different because he was 1-15 that first season. I think they were probably under 500 the second season, and then they had the run, and then he was gone. Right, so he didn't get a chance to build a lot of winning percentage on 5 more years of that, which if he had stayed for what his term should have been,
I mean, he still probably doesn't dethrone Landry, but he's at least a strong case for number 2.
Exactly.
He's still number 2. It's not like any of the guys were up there, but.